In this video, we are going to learn how to loop through a tuple and understand exactly how it works behind the scenes. So let's get started. So let's say we have a tuple called fruits, and there we have these elements: apple, then banana, and then mango. Okay? Now we have covered loops in details. I'll request you to watch them before proceeding further. That will help you understanding these concepts more. So you can write for keyword, then the variable name which will hold each element in each iteration. You can name this anything. So for fruit, in fruits, then just write the colon sign, and we can write the print statement and try to print each fruit in each iteration. If I run the code, you can see it prints apple, banana, and mango. We can comment this out and have another tuple called colors, and there let's say we have elements like red, then green, and then blue. Then you can write the for keyword for another loop, and then any variable name. I'm gonna call this I, then in, and we can use the range method here, and inside range we're gonna call the len method and pass colors there. So if we pass colors to the len method, it will return 3 because the size of the colors tuple is 3, and then that 3 will be passed to this range method. So it will take a range from 0 to 2, means 0, 1, 2. Now we can write the print statement, and we can use a string formatting here, and let's print the index by the I variable, and then we can write has value. Then inside curly braces we can write colors, and inside square brackets we can pass the index again to access each elements. So if I run the code, you can see index 0 has the value red, index 1 has the value green, and index 2 has the value blue. So this length gets the length of this tuple, which is 3, and if you pass just 3 in the range method, it just takes a range from 0 to that number, in this case 2, 1 less than that number, in this case 3, so 1 less than is 2. We are passing here 3, so it will go to 2 from 0. Okay, if I run the code, you can see the output. Now let me make this comment as well and see how tuple works with while loops. Let's take another tuple called names, and there we're gonna have some names, for example Alice, then Bob, and then Charlie. Okay, now for indexing in while loops we have to take variable explicitly, unlike for loop which handles indexing automatically. In case of while loops we have to take a variable by ourselves. So here I'm going to write I equals 0, then I'm going to write the while keyword here, and the condition would be I less than len of names, means if the index is less than the length of the names tuple, which in this case 3. So if index is less than 3, then we want to proceed. So we want to print names and just pass the index. Then make sure to write I plus equal 1. If you don't write this, it will become an infinite loop and your program will crash. If you run the code, as you can see, it prints Alice, Bob, and Charlie. Now let's comment this out, this while loop, and let's cut this names tuple from here and paste that here. Okay, now we can write the for loop again for index comma name in enumerate. So we can use the enumerate method here as well, just pass names. So this enumerate method gives the index as well as the value of an element. So let me write the print statement and string formatting, and in between double quotes I'm gonna first write the index to print that. After that I'm gonna print the name. Now if I run the code, as you can see, it prints the index and the name. As you can see, the 0th index value is Alice, 1st index value is Bob, and the 2nd index value is Charlie. So Python here unpacks the index and value to these two variables in each iteration. Now let me comment this again, and let's take another example with some numbers. So let's have another tuple called numbers, and there we have these values like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay, and now what we can do is we can write the for loop. So for keyword, the num in numbers, and in the for loop we can do some if else as well. So I can write if num mod 2 equal 0. If that is the case, then we want to print with some string formatting, and there we want to print the num is even. So if the modulus result is 0, if that matches, then the number is an even number, otherwise it is an odd number. So if I run the code, you can see it prints 2 is even, 4 is even, 6 is even, and 8 is even. Okay, so I hope you are understanding the loops. I covered this in our previous videos, so I'm not going that much in details, but let me tell you that the length of this tuple is 8. So this loop means this code will be executed 8 times. So first, the for loop will go to this tuple and will find that the first element is 1, and it will assign n inside num variable, because a variable is a container which holds some values. So in the first iteration it will hold 1, and then it will go inside that for block. So num holds 1. If you mod that by 2, the result is not 0, so it does not goes inside the if block and does not print anything, and goes to the for loop statement again. Now it is the time for the second iteration, and in the second iteration num has the value 2. Now in the if block, 2 mod 2 is equal 0, so it is true, so it prints 2 is even. And after printing this, it goes to the for loop statement again. Now it is a third iteration, and num holds the value 3, and 3 mod 2 is not 0, so it does not go inside the if block. Again it goes to the for block. In the fourth iteration, the num holds the value 4, and 4 mod 2 is 0, so it goes inside the if block and prints 4 is even. So other processes are done in the same way. Now let's take some examples with break and continue. For example, we have a tuple called animals, and there we have cat, then dog, and then rabbit. Okay, now let's write the for loop again. So for animal in animals, inside that for block we can write if animal is equal dog. If that is the case, then just break the loop. Otherwise, if that is not the case, print the animal name. So animal. Okay, so if I run the code, you can see it just prints cat. So what is happening here is, as the animal tuple length is 3, this loop will run 3 times. So in the first iteration, the for loop goes to this tuple and sees that the first element is cat. Okay, it assigns cat inside this animal variable, and then it goes inside the for block, and here it checks if cat is equal dog. So that is false, so it does not go inside the if block, does not runs the break statement, but it goes to the next line and prints the animal name, which is cat. And after doing that, it goes to the for condition again, and here in the second iteration it assigns dog inside this animal variable and goes to the for block, and now dog is equal dog, that is true, so it goes to the if block and sees there is a break statement. So what break does is, it tells Python interpreter that we do not need any iteration if the condition matches, so break the loop. We don't need any further iteration. Okay, now another keyword in Python, and that is continue statement. So if I write here continue and run the code, you can see it prints cat and rabbit. So in this example, what is happening is, in the first iteration, cat is being assigned to animal which is not equal dog, so it does not go inside the if block. It goes to the next line, which is the print statement, and prints cat. Okay, after doing that, it goes to the for logic or the for condition and assigns a dog inside this animal variable in the second iteration. Okay, so now animal holds the value dog, so dog is equal dog, so this is true. So it goes inside this if block and founds we said that to continue. So if you write the continue statement, that means break only the current iteration and go to the next iteration, means stop the current iteration and move forward to next iteration. Break statement just tells Python interpreter that to break all the iterations in the loop, but the continue statement tells the Python interpreter to stop only the current iteration. So when it is dog, it tells Python interpreter to stop or ignore the current iteration and move to the next iteration. So it goes to the third iteration. Now rabbit is assigned to the animal variable, so rabbit is not equal dog, so it does not go inside this block, and it goes to this line and prints rabbit. I hope you understood how this is working. Let me comment this code as well and take another example to understand nested loops with tuple. For example, we have a variable called pairs, and there we have a tuple, and inside that tuple we have some more tuples. For example, here in the first child tuple we have a, then 1, then we have another child tuple, there we have b, 2, another child tuple, there we have c, and 3. And now we can write the for loop and write variable called letter, then number in pairs. For that we can write the print statement, that's string formatting, double quotes, and we want to print letter and then just number. Okay, if I run the code, you'll see it prints a1, b2, and c3. Okay, so what is happening here is the outer tuple length is 3, so this loop will be running 3 times. So in the first iteration we get this tuple, and from there we are unpacking letter and a number. So in the first iteration we have this as the first element, and from there we are taking a and putting inside letter variable, and taking 1 and putting inside this number variable, and then we are printing that. Then in the second iteration we get this tuple, and from there we assign b to letter and we assign 2 to this number, and then just print again, as you can see, b2. Then in the third iteration we get this third child tuple, means the third element, and from there we unpack the letter c and assign that to this letter variable, then assign 3 inside this number variable, then we just print 3, and then we just print them, as you can see, c3. If I run the code, as you can see, a1, b2, c3. So the summary recap here is tuples are iterable. You can use for and while loops with them. You can use range to loop by index, or enumerate to get index plus value together. You can use break to stop early, and continue to skip values. Nested tuples can be unpacked inside loops for clean data handling. And that's how we loop through tuples in Python. So that's all for now. See you in the next one.